The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. We will go ahead and get started. Can everybody hear me okay? The webinar this morning, we were going to cover how to enter and search for listings with green features, building certifications, and power production. My name is Meg Gerbrandt. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at NEREN. One note of housekeeping, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel for other viewers to see. By participating in the webinar, you consent to any content you provide, any questions, etc., being recorded and posted for others to see. This is a listen-only webinar. You are muted. If you have questions, please type them into the questions box and I will answer those as we go along. So energy efficiency can be very daunting. There's energy efficiency, sustainability. There are many buzz terms and buzzwords surrounding green. This can be very overwhelming for everyone. It can make your head spin and leave you feeling very confused and greenwashed. So what I'm going to talk about today are home performance indicators. And this is really information that highlights technologies that sellers want to showcase in terms that a buyer can easily understand. By recognizing and reporting HPIs, we as MLSs and you as agents can include this information within the MLS, which will then show in fields, on property reports, in forms, flyers, and be available in data feeds to share that story across the market. So we know that consumers want a home that is comfortable, safe, and affordable. By providing energy information, this results in increased consumer confidence. So here is a map that shows a summary of national PV. So PV is the process stands for photovoltaics, and really it means solar panels that result in power production. So this is a map that shows PV inventories for some of the MLSs throughout the country. This was actually prepared for a presentation I did at CMLS this past fall by the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. While this data is from 2016, it is forecasted that more than 2 million homes will have solar power systems by the end of 2018. So this growing adoption is also seen in the commercial space. There's more than 38% of commercial buildings across 30 office markets in the U.S. Have been certified as green or efficient by LEED or Energy Star certifications. So those of you that may work in the commercial space as well, it's not just prominent in the residential marketplace. So Madeline Salzman from the U.S. Department of Energy recently indicated that there are over 100,000 homes that have a HERS score. These are mainly existing buildings. ResNet, that does the HERS score, which you may be somewhat familiar with. These are primarily for new construction homes. But there are over 2 million homes that have HERS scores in the United States, and 23% of all new homes in 2017 were being HERS rated. Okay. So what's in it for me? What's in it for you? Many studies have been conducted, and these have shown that properties where energy efficiency attributes, where they were marketed and promoted, spent less time on the market and sold for more money. In some instances, up to 5% more than other homes where these features and attributes were not promoted. So I'm going to go into a little bit about what we're seeing in our MLS area. So what I'm going to talk about is really focused on Vermont, high-performance home inventories, existing homes and new construction. And this data was provided to me by Efficiency Vermont. So here is a map that shows properties in Vermont that have energy profiles and the U.S. Department of Energy home energy scores. It just shows you sort of, the Vermont area where we're seeing this become more prominent. So this data is from 2016, so it is a couple years old, so these numbers have increased since then. But really, this is just to show that these properties exist in our marketplace, and they are becoming more prominent. Vermont has their own program, Efficiency Vermont. They have a home energy profile. So some properties in Vermont have scores and ratings based on one of their two programs. And as we get into the presentation, I'll show you where these would be indicated within listing maintenance. So this is a map that shows existing homes with comprehensive energy audits and weatherization work that has been performed. So again, this data goes back to 2017, so these numbers are likely higher at this point. But really, again, this is to show that these properties exist in our marketplace, and we need to know how to effectively market them when they come to transact. This is new construction. As of the end of 2016, there were over 6,500 homes statewide in Vermont that were deemed high performance. So what does this all mean in the NEREN MLS? What we've tried to do over the years is first provide resources. So what we're looking at here are the resources that are available within your Paragon MLS system. So under Documents, there are 3 folders that I'm going to talk about today. One is Green and Energy Efficient Fields, HERS Database, and Listing Input Forms. Information specific to the fields within Paragon are included within the resources. There's about additional resources about home performance indicators. There's the Appraisal Institute's residential and commercial green and energy efficient addendums, as well as some other documents here that you may be interested in reading, such as the Home Energy Information Guide, what we have available on our website. What do all of these fields mean? So there are documents here that include the definitions as well, so that you can learn more about all of these. So the HERS score, we get updates from Vermont. While this data is not publicly available yet to bring in directly to the database, we do have it available here as a resource. We should be getting an update from them shortly, since this particular document is about a year old at this point. So you can search this document to find a property that may have a HERS score, and then add that information to your listing within Paragon. So tying some of these pieces together here, An important entity behind all of these initiatives that we're going to see related to fields within our listing maintenance system comes from an organization called RESO. It's a real estate standards organization. They develop, promote, maintain standards for the real estate industry, really related to data fields. So what this does is it helps vendors that you may work with easily set up their products and services to use for you. And in an instance I'm going to talk about in a little bit, it also provides us efficiencies with importing data into the database as well. So let's talk about what's available in our listing input forms. So the first section you're going to come across in an input form is green marketing and third-party verifications. The green marketing section is designed to just give a high-level snapshot of different attributes or things that a property may have. You know, efficiency, if there's appliances, constructions, lightings, roof, thermostats, you know, just a high-level overview here. Sustainability features, water conservation. And then there are 3 sets of the green verification programs. This is where you're going to find the various building certifications that a property may have associated with it. You have a pick list of items to pick the program. Some have a rating, some have a score. There's different fields to enter that particular information, as well as most of the properties that have a certification have that information available online. So there is a URL field as well to enter a URL to that report for people to be able to review. The other section is power production. This is where if you have a property that has solar panels, active solar panels, this is where you're going to enter that information. We also have the ability to enter a listing that may have wind turbines that are producing power on that property as well. So that is available here and all of the associated fields. So in listing maintenance, this is the 2 sections where you're going to find these detailed fields specifically related to green data or home performance indicators. In addition to the dedicated fields we just talked about, there are additional feature fields within the system to note additional green features or attributes about a property. Examples of some of those are listed here. You know, there's things strewn throughout, appliances, construction, equipment, interior and exterior features, and heating, to name a few. Some of the other fields that are really important to this space are also included under electric and financing. Electric, you're going to see the information about, you know, if there's an energy storage device, net metering, if the property is off the grid, ready for renewables. We also currently have here ownership related to power production for solar PV and wind turbine. An important note is that the ownership section is actually going to be moved into the power production field set because it's really only specific to that group of data. So in the near future, you're going to see an announcement that the ownership type has been removed from the electric category and put into the power production data set. And the reason is because ownership has a critical impact on the transaction process. If a property has a seller-owned system, it is going to be much easier to transact than a property that may have a leased solar panel system where a potential buyer would have to assume responsibility and qualify to assume that lease on the property. And I know of some transactions in our MLS area where that information either wasn't known or wasn't fully understood, and transactions have fallen apart as a result of that. So that's a really important data component to be aware of and really be able to understand. For anybody that may be listing properties in Vermont, we have in 2017, we launched an auto-population pilot program. So the manual entry of green home or home performance indicator data is available in any property class and type. So for Vermont properties, we launched a pilot program in 2017 to auto-populate the PV or solar panel data that is publicly available. So we were the first and are still the only MLS in the country to have this option available. So the next few slides, I'm going to review this process and how to utilize it. I know many of you in Vermont are probably not accustomed to starting a listing in this manner because the tax and public records data is not robust for properties in Vermont. But if you do have a property with solar panels associated with it, I would encourage you to utilize this process to be able to bring in the information related to that particular system. So how does this work? So you're going to first click on listings and then new and use the tax switcher to select Vermont. You're going to enter some search criteria. When you're doing this, it is searching off of the CRS, Tax and Public Records Database, and can be used for New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Mass listings to auto-populate any data, the base set of data when entering any new listing. This process helps cut down on listing input, but in Vermont, the PV data is also included where applicable. So once you've entered your data and hit search, you're going to see some search results, which is the section on the top of the screen here. The search results may show one or many potential properties depending on the search criteria that you entered. In this example, one property was returned, as you see on the top of the image, on the top image. If you click on the span number tax ID field, that highlighted section there that's circled in red, you will see the tax report information on this property, including the power production data at the bottom. So this is the red box down at the bottom showing the power production information. So if you decide that this is the correct property you wish to list, you're going to check the box, which is this red circle here, and then go up and click autofill. This will bring up the load tax data form, which you're going to see on the left side of your screen. You will notice that any field that has a value is pre-selected for ease of auto-population, including the power production data on this property. If there is any data element you do not want to auto-populate, you can uncheck that field and then you're going to hit Save. That process pulls the selected data into a new listing in listing maintenance. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the power production data as it is pulled in that section in listing maintenance. So this covers the options for getting the data into the system. So again, manual entry, or for properties in Vermont, you can use the auto-population process that we just went through. So remember that the data available for search is only as good as the data that was entered. More is more here, which is good. So how do you find a property that has solar panels or other home performance indicators? You can add power production and/or the third-party verifications to your search template. You can also search the feature fields, customizing your spreadsheet view, your results, to add power production and/or third-party verifications to see what properties may have values there. So always remember, you don't have to search on a specific field to see a value in your results. You are using search to hone in on specific requirements and reduce the number of properties returned. So how do you modify your search template? When you have your search screen loaded, you're going to go to Customize and then Fields. You're going to see that on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see this pop up with two boxes. The fields on the left are the available fields that are not currently on your search form, and the fields on the right are those that are already available on your search form. You can use the Find feature. I typed in green here, and you're going to see the fields that start with green. You can then select these and hit Add. Any fields you add to your search form are going to automatically be placed at the bottom. You can click these down and drag or drop. Oops, one moment, sorry about that. Or you can use the indicators to move up or move down, and this will adjust the placement of these fields on your search form. Once you have customized the search form to your liking, you click Apply, and that gives you your new search form layout. So you can search specifically for these items once added to your search template. If you do find that you're searching on these fields frequently, you may wish to save this search template for one-click access. So here we added the power production type and the green verification program. So a couple of tips are on this screen here for searching. When searching for the presence of a green verification program, if you don't have a particular program that you're searching for, but you just want to see properties that may have any of those, you can check all of those boxes as I have here in this picture on the lower right. Okay. For photovoltaics, which is solar panels or wind, you can choose to select those as well. Keep in mind, as you're searching across fields, it is narrowing down your criteria. So we have in the system two sets of the power production fields. Okay, so you may wish to add both of those to your search form, but you're still only going to be able to search one at a time. Otherwise, if you search both of them at the same time for solar panels, then you're going to be searching for a property that has two different installs of solar panel information. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, and I can certainly go back and try and explain that a little bit better. The same goes with the green verification programs. We have three sets of those because we found in our marketplace that some properties do have up to 3 different types of certifications on them. So we're trying to provide the fields to accommodate what we're seeing in our local marketplace. Okay. So customizing the spreadsheet is done in a similar manner as the search template. You click on Customize and then Fields, and then you can search green or power to scroll through the list of available fields. So you'll notice that this looks nearly identical to the customizing form on the search template. The fields that are available are on the left. the fields that have been selected are on the right. You can select Add or double-click it, and it will join the list of selected fields on the right. You can move them up or down depending on where you would like the fields displayed, left to right. So because this is a spreadsheet view, the fields at the top of the list are going to be further left on your screen, and the ones at the bottom are going to be further to the right. You do want to also be sure to give this spreadsheet a new name so you can easily access the search result layout with one click. So you want to hit up here, there's name. You can give it a specific name and then hit save. So this is an example of what it looks like. On this particular listing, I had added a power production and also a green verification field to the search results. And here I can see listings where photovoltaics are present, and also many of them, actually all of these in this specific example, also have a green verification program associated with them as well. So if you're searching properties, you can either enter that specific green field criteria, or you can choose to do a regular search, add these fields to your results spreadsheet, and then filter based on what you see there as well. So this is an example of a spreadsheet view with power production and green verification program fields added. So in this example, you're going to see I added power production, both of those options to the spreadsheet, as well as all three fields just for the green verification programs. And you'll see some properties here with photovoltaics. There's actually one with wind. And then the programs that are associated with them for green verifications. So you'll see some of them have 3 different verifications associated with them. Vermont specific programs are associated here as well. So that's where you're going to see that type of information on a spreadsheet view. To see more detail on a property, there are 2 specific reports that include all the power production and green verification program field sets. This is the agent green and the customer green, as you see highlighted in this list here. So this is a section of the green report that shows the comprehensive data included. Remember, this data is only available if it has been entered into the system. As popularity is growing and more homes are transacting with solar panels or building certifications, it is critical that this data be included for comparable purposes. This data is also included in all data feeds, including the third-party companies, in IDX feeds. So this is if you have your own website or your office has a website. It's available on the MLS public-facing website, NEREN.com. If you may have an intra-office feed, getting all of your own listing data back to your office, it's included there as well. I will say that not many are displaying this data at present, so we do have it available for search and display on our public-facing website, and it's information that is certainly gaining in popularity. And if you do have an IDX website or your office has a website, I would encourage you to ask your vendor or staff person that manages that to include this data. So what are the next steps for NEREN related to this, all this data and what's sort of happening in the industry? So we're always evaluating and improving what we offer. You know, we're seeing what is coming up in our marketplace for features or home performance related data, and we're adding that into the database. We're looking at any new green verification programs that may be coming to the marketplace. We are going to be adding the power production data in a searchable manner within the CRS environment. So right now you can pull up a property and see that information there, but you can't specifically search on it there, so that is on our radar. We are also looking to get more PV data. We are going to be, hopefully within the next month, launching that auto population process with Massachusetts solar power data as well, or solar panel data. So we have that and are just finalizing the flow of data throughout our systems to make sure that it is optimized and working effectively. So Massachusetts PV data will be available for auto population very soon. There's also a regional program called Helix that is almost ready to go into beta testing. And the intent of this is to provide auto population of building certification data. So those third-party verification fields that you saw in the database, we're hoping to be able to launch that and be a beta tester of that program so that in addition to the solar panel data, we can also auto-populate the building certification data into a listing as well. So we're really excited about those opportunities and initiatives that are coming to you, our members, because there aren't any other MLSs in the country right now that have the ability to handle these processes. So what might be some good next steps for you? Education. You know, this is still emerging in some ways. Interest. A lot of education is needed for yourself, you know, your sellers and your buyers. Your sellers getting this information from them, knowing what questions to ask so that you can make sure you're getting as much information about that property related to home performance, energy efficiency, sustainability, and things of that nature. And then being able to effectively work with your buyers to identify and find properties that may be available on the marketplace that meet their needs in this regard as well. You know, maybe you take the NAR Green Designation course or an Echo Broker course to further your knowledge as well. There's going to be a Vermont Green Real Estate Symposium hosted by Vermont Realtors in October. So that would be a great local conference. Usually it's a one-day event. We regularly attend and present at that event, and it is fantastic. A great way to further your education and knowledge related to all things green related to real estate. So enter this data on the listings. You know, ask your sellers these questions and make sure that you get that data entered into the MLS database. Tell your friends and colleagues. You know, this is important information, and it certainly could have a financial benefit to you in doing so as well. And look at the NEREN MLS YouTube channel. This is recorded and it will be posted there. So if you need to go back and take a look at it again to refresh yourself on some of the items discussed today, it will be available there as well. So any questions? This is a listen-only webinar, but you can type your questions in the questions box. Okay, I am not seeing any questions. So I would like to thank you for taking time out of your day this morning and reviewing and learning more about what NEREN has to offer to assist you in marketing and finding properties that are energy efficient, have solar panels, sustainability features, and we hope you will help us advance the data in the database that is available here, as well as continue your education and knowledge on this topic to help transact these properties. So thank you again, and I will go ahead and end the webinar.